Are we supposed to not speak?
Good afternoon, everybody, and can I offer all a very warm welcome to the first Institute National online branch meeting. My name is Jonathan Barber. I'm the Head of Business Development for the Institute, and I'm your host for this afternoon's webinar. I'm used to travelling the country attending our various branch meetings, but as I say, this is the first online event we find ourselves in. I hope you find it useful, and you know, I'm sure it will provide a lot of value in terms of the content and the subject matter that we're covering this afternoon. I think it's fair to say that we are probably all operating under differing conditions, and there is a new norm to our working as well as personal life. From a CPD perspective, the Institute are running all of its CPD for the remainder of this calendar year online. We have started a tax series, and I know we've had over 125 attendees to last week's first session. The following sessions are tomorrow and a week on Thursday, so there is still time to join. We will be holding, when we come back from the summer school break in September, further national online meetings like this, and there will be 2 a month. We've also introduced what we're calling local online branch surgeries. They're very local events where members who are used to attending a Leeds or a Manchester or a Newcastle branch meeting can connect and get together in a informal environment. So we're starting to roll those out. In addition to the tax series, we do have coming up on the 6th of August a specific COVID accounting webinar, very much there to help members and non-members in terms of the accounting and the treatment of various initiatives that have come from the government that will have an impact on financial reporting and accounts moving forward. And in September, we will be running a series of webinars as well, covering everything over a 3-week period, from employment law updates, insolvency updates, practice development, marketing, fraud, as well as other topics. We also will start a monthly financial reporting series from October, which will run for 5 months from October onwards. Just a couple of other updates from an institute perspective, as you would expect from a branch meeting. Just to cover off CPD requirements. Yes, we all are living under COVID-19 times. Members' CPD requirements are still the same though. That's still to achieve 40 hours of CPD over the course of the calendar year. I do hope a number of attendees will have visited the Institute's COVID-19 resources page. Nice and simple, nice and easy to find on the website. And a number of pages of valuable information. I know a number of members have used the member support group, a group that was set up at the beginning of lockdown, and we thank our branch ambassadors who have given time for free to answer calls, answer emails, give guidance and support to members and queries that might be related to their clients. Yes, it's early, but finally, I'll make the point about renewals. The process will start as normal with communications from the Institute come early October. Please look out for those emails. And as we would always say, if it's applicable to you, there are 1, maybe 2 declarations you need to complete. And it's not just about renewing and paying your fees. So please do look out for those communications from us later on in the year. That's enough from me. That's enough from the Institute. Can I welcome Lawrence Vogel, our speaker for this afternoon. Lawrence is a sales and marketing professional, possessing over 20 years experience in these two particular areas. He's worked across a number of sectors, and specifically he's worked for and with his current organisation, IFA Management, for the past 11 years. IFA Management, in a nutshell, and Lawrence will of course tell you more, are content providers for accountancy practices. But Lawrence works with, I think it's Lawrence, 500 plus, 530 plus accountancy firms and practices in the UK. Interestingly, as the screen says at the bottom, 75% of those are small or sole practitioners. So Lawrence has got some invaluable knowledge and experience from our arena as a professional body. Interestingly, this talk follows on from Lawrence's 2019 branch roadshow, where he talked very much then about and gave tips to members about how they should sell themselves as an accountant. The 2020 series, the webinar this afternoon, is very much about using content as an accountant, not ignoring content to promote yourself, your firm, your practice to current but potential clients. So we thank Lawrence for his time this afternoon, and we look forward to the presentation ahead. Just a couple of house rules, if I can. Everybody is on mute, but you do have the facility to ask questions. There is a button at the bottom of your screen that will filter questions through to me. I've spoken to Lawrence ahead of going live this afternoon, and he's happy for me to interject with questions as we go along. I will do my best to get those asked. But Lawrence, enough from me. Thank you again for your time this afternoon, and the platform rather than the floor is yours. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. Just before I kick off, I have been keeping an eye on the head counts, and it keeps going up. So I don't know whether it's worth maybe holding for maybe another 60 seconds, because it keeps going up. That's the only thing. Whether people, if there's a few still trying to get on. There were also, I noticed, a couple of people had raised hands but hadn't asked a question specifically, so I don't know why the hands were raised, unless maybe they'd had an issue with sound or audio or video or something like that, possibly.
I'll from my side in the background now. I'll look into why those hands might have been raised, and if anybody does have an issue or a problem, then we'll look to rectify that as soon as possible.
Okay, no, that's absolutely fine. Okay, right. Let me just go to share my screen. I had a little look through some of the people that are there, so I want to say hello to. There's a couple of my clients sitting on this afternoon, so welcome to you. I know there's some other people from the IFA, people like Ian and Iona, so hello to both of you. And a couple of my team have decided to come in and hear what I've got to say, so I'd like to say hello to both of them as well, as I'm not actually in the office. I'm doing this from home this afternoon. So okay, let's click share. Can you see my screen, Ian?
We can see your screen.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, fine, perfect. Okay, so right, so the talk, as Ian said, it's the talk is all around content, and it's about how to sell yourself and your practice through the use of content, through the power of content. And what I want to cover off then is a very, very quick background, of which Ian has partly covered. But what is accountancy content? What is content when you're relating it back to a practice? Why is it important? What type of content is available? The difference between information that's generic and information that's personalised. Different formats, technical against non-technical, and where. where would you use it? Where would you use content? How can you get the benefit from putting that effort in to send content out to clients and contacts? So that's what I want to cover off. In terms of the business, yes, I've actually now been running Info Management for just over 12 years, went over into 12 years at the beginning of May. The business itself is Dutch owned. We actually started in 2002 in the Netherlands, and we've also now got an office in Germany. And we work specifically with accountancy firms, helping them communicate better with their clients. So we've developed a platform which enables content to be written by us and then pushed out, branded onto the practice's website, newsletters that are targeted and tailored, social media posts, fact sheets, and then we move on into things like tax cards and some stuff around CPD. So there's a whole variety of services that we provide, but what's at the core are two things, which is our platform and the content that we write, which is around tax and accountancy, corporate governance, employment law. Okay, so that's kind of a sales pitch for Info Management, and hopefully there'll be some things that will come out of the talk today, which hopefully you guys can take away and utilize. And if you want us to help you with that, or you want to discuss that with us, then I'd be more than happy to more than happy to do that. As Jonathan said, we've got, give or take, around about 530 practices that we work with. Majority of those are small and micro practices, but we do work with bigger firms as well. We've got a number of clients we work with that are on the top 100 list, and everyone else in between. And they're all regulated businesses, regulated practices, whether that's with the IFA and the ICPA, with the ICAW, the ACCA, AAT. It doesn't matter. What we offer transcends the whole of the industry. And my background specifically, as well as Info Management, prior to that, I was commercial director for a sales consultancy where we specialized in working with professional service firms, helping them with their new business efforts. Okay, so I'm looking at this Info Management from a marketing and a business development perspective as well. But if I combine all of my experience, I've been working with practices now for give or take about 17 years. So that's Info Management, and that is me as a very quick overview. You hopefully would have noticed on the email that came out yesterday with the Zoom link, there was a link at the bottom which enables you all to request a copy of two things. Firstly, all of the stuff I'm going to talk about today, if you want a copy of it to save you all scribbling down and writing loads of notes. And also a white paper that I've put together, which covers 25 marketing tips for a practice. Now, for anyone that came to one of my talks at the branch meetings last year, would have had an opportunity to get that white paper. So it is the same one. So if you haven't got it and you want another copy, I'm more than happy to resend it to you, but you will also get a copy of everything that I've covered off today. So it isn't specifically the presentation as such, because the document's quite large with all the graphics that I've got in here, but it is in effect the narrative. So if you'd like a copy of that, just go to infomanagement.co.uk/IFA-white paper. And that'll just take you through to a very quick form. You can stick in your details, and then I can happy to forward that on to you over the next couple of days. Okay. And this will pop up again at the end for anyone that hasn't written it down. Okay, so the first thing I want to kick off with is how the industry's changed. Okay, and the industry and clients specifically are becoming much more commercially focused. Okay, they're looking for much more from their accountants than just the compliance work. Okay, they're looking for their accountant to be more of a business advisor and to be able to demonstrate the knowledge that a practitioner and the wider practice has is through sharing of content and sharing of relevant information. Okay, but specifically around audiences, it's very difficult to get people's attention now. We're all very, very time poor. We've all got too many things to do, run from one filing deadline or one client meeting to the next. Okay, so it's about trying to find the right information and a way to get the right information in front of the right person, so you generate that audience cut through. Okay, which obviously generates more open rates for a newsletter and read rates and click-throughs and things like that, and the analytics behind all of that enables further information to then be sent out that's targeted and relevant. But the key is how do you get information in front of someone to start with, and the industry has changed a lot from where practices were 15 years ago. Okay, and people are becoming much more, accountants are becoming much more switched on to how they can get different information in front of different people. But everything can always be improved and made more effective. Now, content marketing itself, what is it? What is that as a definition? Well, my own definition is it's about using information, using content that helps prospects and customers in a relevant and attractive way without directly praising yourself. Okay. The idea behind all of that is if you do it consistently, if you share information on a regular basis and you share information that's relevant, people will see you as a reliable source. Okay, and obviously indirectly off the back of that, there's trust, there's sympathy, you gain authority, and you get rewarded by clients staying with you for a long time. You don't have that high attrition rate, that high turnover of clients, and also those clients will refer you on to other people, which creates the right image for your practice, which sets you apart from everyone else locally that you're competing for new business with. Now, what is content marketing is one thing. What's accountancy content then? Well, again, my own definition is it's information that covers changes in legislation, new rules and regulations around tax and accountancy. Maybe you widen that out and talk a bit about corporate governance, or maybe a bit of employment law. We talk about national minimum wage rates and dismissal procedures and things like that, the type of things clients tend to go to their accountant about when they've got a question or a query. Okay, and that typical content can be used across a number of different media. Okay. Now, what's the purpose of having it? What's the purpose of doing it? Maybe you look at your practice and think, well, I'm running my practice, everything's all ticking along very, very nicely. So where's the benefit? Well, the ultimate goal is to attract and then retain customers, retain clients. Okay. And the clients that you've got, you obviously want to educate, and you want to get them to spend more money with you. You want to then move your practice into one that isn't solely reliant on compliance work, but also is expanding its advisory offering, because that's ultimately where the growth is from a fee perspective. Okay, and you want to turn those prospects, someone that hunts you out online or someone's recommended and they give you a call and have an initial chat and maybe they then want to have a meeting. It's about turning those prospects into customers and those customers into ambassadors for your practice. Okay, and get them to take that next step in the customer journey. Now, content's important for a variety of reasons. Okay, firstly, it shows you to be an expert, number one, which is always nice. Okay, it's always nice to be seen as someone who knows what they're talking about. Okay, obviously it promotes a positive image of the practice, and for the people that came to the branch meetings last year, the talk was all about how to improve your image as an accountant. So promoting a positive image of the practice obviously is crucial. It keeps those clients engaged, and as I just mentioned anyway on the last slide, it allows you to promote your advisory work over the compliance work. And bearing in mind, compliance work is being the fees that can be charged are being the price of that is being driven down. At some point, people are going to be giving away compliance work for free. and doing everything through the advisory part of their practice. So it's an opportunity to maybe look to see where you can increase the fee potential with the clients that you have and drive your practice forward. Now, the next section I want to cover off is around a series of principles that make up content marketing, and there are 5 of those. Okay, the first one is it's all about the client. Number 2, it's custom work, and the caveat to that is unless you can use automation to personalize what you do. Okay, it's editorial. It is an editorial process. There's please do not disturb, which is how do you get that cut through? How do you get someone's attention when people are really busy? And the last one is it's forever. Okay, it's not a one-time stab. It's not I'll do this once, I don't have to do it again. Okay, it is a regular. It should be something that, or it has to be something that you're doing on a regular basis. So principle 1 then is it's about the client. What does that actually mean? Well, content marketing is not about you. It's not about you. It's not about stuff going on within your practice necessarily directly, okay? But it's about the information needs of your clients and your potential clients, your audience, okay? Your contacts, your intermediaries, okay? It's what information do they need? And you're able to meet their needs with valuable and relevant information. So you inform first, you learn, maybe it's something humorous, maybe you entertain them as well, okay? And only then at that point do you then look at, well, how can I convince them to work with me? How can I then sell my services in so I can get them on board as a client? But that should never be the overriding aim right at the very beginning, okay? It's about sharing information and relevant information so you get the right information in front of those people. And then you need to make sure, obviously, that what you send out is relevant, otherwise it's just going to get ignored. So from an example perspective then, what we've got here for one of my clients is a series of targeted fact sheets that we've put together based around a series of topics that they know people within their local area are going to be after, okay? And those fact sheets are downloadable, they're all branded, and we can data capture the people that are downloading that information so they can then follow up with other relevant pieces of content, other relevant news items based on what they know the interests of those visitors to their website. Okay. Now, principle 2 is it's custom work. What does that actually mean? Well, one size doesn't fit all. It did many, many years ago, but there's so much information around, and people have so little time that if you don't personalize the information that's sent out, if you don't get the right information in front of the right person, it will just get ignored, okay? Everyone's got different needs, okay? So it's about understanding what people's interests are, what information they want, and then where they actually are in their customer journey. Where are they in the buying cycle of the services of a practice? And the more customization you can do, the more you can personalize a piece of communication, and I'm focusing specifically on electronic communication, the better the open rates and the better the responses you'll get off the back of a mailing or a piece of communication that goes out, a newsletter that goes out, okay? The more you can personalize it with a salutation, the more the information that's in that newsletter is relevant to that person's business and or personal circumstances, the email address it's sent from, okay? The more you can customize and personalize, the more people will open and act on what's been sent out. Okay, so, and here to give you a couple of examples, here's a newsletter that's not branded, it's not personalized, and it's clearly something's been sent out and they just sent that to probably everyone on there. I can't say for definite, but I received it and I didn't ask for it and I just happened to have it filed away. But it's gone out, it's not personalized, and they've just thrown that out to everyone on their mailing list. On the other hand, what we do for our clients, and what I've done here is I've split 2 different newsletters. I've done half of one and half of another. But on the left-hand side of the screen, what you've got is a newsletter that has gone out specifically from the email address of the practice. It's gone out with a salutation. There's then an index of articles, which you'll have to take my word for it, are personalised to that particular individual, okay, because that's what our system does. It profiles individuals and sends different information out to different people. And then on the right-hand side, as you get to the bottom, this one's got a handwritten signature, okay? So it's just about looking at how can we personalise and tailor and create the right experience for the clients and the other contacts and intermediaries and prospects of a practice.
Lawrence, can I, sorry to sort of interject, but I do have a question that fits
Sure.
with what you're talking about. The question is, how do you customize and personalize as a startup company, knowing that you do not yet have a client base?
Okay, funny enough, actually, I do actually answer that a little bit later on.
Okay.
But that's fine. But the short answer is, if you haven't got a client base, how do you personalize? The answer is you can't. So if you're, and if the question's coming from a position of, I don't have any clients, but maybe I've gone to a networking event and I've gathered a handful of business cards, or I've bought a data list of businesses in a specific area, for example, or in a specific market sector, because that's my area of expertise, you're not going to know the different needs of those individuals. So in that case, the initial mailing that goes out has to be something that's a bit of a send it out there, throw some stuff out there and see what sticks. If it was going to a list of recipients, if, for example, there's no clients, but you buy a list of recipients in the medical sector because an accountant has expertise working in the medical sector, then you'd probably know what articles or what content would be relevant to that specific sector, so you'd send that out. And off the back of that, as you get feedback, as you see what people are looking at through the newsletter and what people are clicking through and reading, you can then from there start to tailor further communication, so you know there's then information based on what people have read before. Does that make sense?
That's very useful. Thank you very much.
That's fine, and I touch on that slightly later on as well, actually.
Lovely. I'll let you keep going. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. So principle 3 then is it's editorial. Okay. So people aren't sucked in nowadays into advertising as they were 20 or 30 years ago. Someone would have run an advert, someone will place an ad, and people immediately will jump on the back and would buy into it. Okay. We're much smarter. We've got access to a wealth of information that we've never had historically at our fingertips, and people are happy to check things out, price compare features, and one product over another product. So it's much harder to get people to make a buying decision. So from a newsletter perspective for practices, the content's got to be spot on without overtly selling the practice and what the practice does. Okay, so you've got to really create content that answers questions that people have. Allow people to decide for themselves with that content. Make it credible, something that shows a bit of thought leadership, a bit of understanding on a particular topic that you happen to know a lot about. Okay. Start with what your prospects need to know rather than what you want to say. So how do you do that? We'll look at different topic and information. Maybe you could look at practice news, you could look at technical news on your website, and maybe give them a call to action or a prompt. Okay, so what we've got here is a series of articles that are on one of my clients' websites that's technical. It's accountancy and tax related. Okay, that links back to services that they provide within their practice that all have a small little call to action within there. But what you can also do is maybe mix that in with maybe a bit of practice news or articles about things that are happening within the local business community. So what Pentlands tend to do a lot of is talk to their clients, find out what's happening within their clients' businesses, and then use their network of clients, their distribution list for their newsletter to help promote their client's business. So I don't know, to give an example off the top of my head, you've got a motor mechanic who is offering people winter health checks for their cars, and the rationale, but maybe it's a free winter health check, but off the back of it, he knows a number of people that come in might need new tyres or might need to have new brakes or whatever it may be. But the accountant can be a conduit by promoting that service very, very subtly within their newsletter. Maybe it's a special offer for existing clients. Okay, and then you link that all in with a bit of technical news and some key tax things that are changing, and all of a sudden you've got a piece of communication that's been crafted to the audience and relevant to the audience that's receiving it. Okay. Principle 4 is please do not disturb. Okay, no one's waiting to be interrupted. People aren't sitting there waiting for a newsletter from their accountant or a piece of communications come out from their accountant. Okay. But to build an effective database, you have to gain some sort of permission, some sort of buy-in, okay, that people want you to communicate with them on an ongoing basis. So enable people that receive your newsletter to share content easily so they can promote you to their contacts and their connections. Okay, enable them to use things like share this. Okay, enable other people to then who see something to go, that's interesting, I want to sign up and receive your newsletter on an ongoing basis, or regular communications from you on an ongoing basis. So you could use something like share this, which allows people to share things very easily via email or social media, okay, or a wealth of other tools. So what we've got here for CWM are some links on their websites to their social media profiles, so people very easily, when they're viewing a particular article on the website, oh, that's interesting, I'm going to stick that on my LinkedIn profile. They can share it very easily. Okay, it could be straight from a newsletter. Okay, something like share this, which allows those people to share something from the newsletter onto social media, but also share it via their own email if they want to. I want to send this to half a dozen of my key contacts because I know it's going to be relevant to them. I can share it. But what I do is I drive those people back to the accountant's website, back to the source, okay? Which helps with your referral rates and the sharing of information and driving new business opportunities within the practice. Bearing in mind, 95% of new business for a practice is referrals and recommendations. Principle 5 is it's forever. Okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, as I went through the different points. Okay, it's continuous. It's not a I'm sending out one bulletin now. I've done it. I don't have to go and do it again. It's a commitment. It's a commitment to keeping on top of what's changing, showing people that you're aware of what's going on. You're keeping up to date, and you're happy to then continually push relevant information out on an ongoing basis. Okay, it's about maintaining relationships, offering valuable stuff at the right time. Okay, it's about that, maybe that due diligence perspective of you don't want someone coming back to you saying I've not heard about this, or what about this information. They've got that information from you on a regular basis. Okay, and that frequency is different for different people. That frequency could be monthly, it could be bi-monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be more frequent than that. You can decide the frequency perspective. Okay, that's up to you, but it's then make that commitment to then stick to it so you're delivering on a regular basis. And just to show you, say, for example, from a social media perspective, then we can tag in and we can link in to multiple profiles across Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, as we've done here for Wren Accountancy, who are an IFA member firm. Okay, and then we have a steady stream of posts going out onto their social media profiles to keep them up to date. But anyone that clicks through from any of their social media profiles goes straight through to that particular article, to that particular piece of information on the practice website. So why is content important? Well, it engages your audience. Hopefully maybe you've picked that up from what I've been saying. And also, obviously, it promotes a positive image, but it helps you keep clients and promote advisory work over compliance. And then finally, it enables you to be seen as an expert, okay, which is obviously the most crucial thing when you're looking at generating and bringing in new business and growing your practice forward, especially in the current climate. You know, if we're all going to probably see some clients unfortunately cease trading, we're going to want to replace that drop in fee income with other opportunities. In terms of what type of content's available, there's a raft of things, split between online and offline. From an online perspective, there's obviously practice news, accountancy news. That could be as articles, maybe slightly longer blog posts. Okay, as I've already shown here, you know, a feed onto the website that's automated is easy enough to set up and to manage. There's also things like fact sheets, which you know, more detailed pieces which people can download from a practice website. Maybe they have them printed as well, and where you can data capture people's details so you can see who's engaging with that information.
Lawrence, can I come in again? I've got a question. The questioner is asking, you're obviously giving some very good examples of websites as well as literature and content. The question is, in your opinion, what comes first, the website and then the content, or does a practitioner focus on content, then their website?
Okay, so the first thing is to have a website, to have a presence. The way we're all, not necessarily whether we're all working now, but certainly over the last 10 years, it's less about that high street presence for a practice and more about can I find what I'm looking for online. So definitely the first thing you want to do if you haven't got one is to set up a website and to have something created that you're proud of, that showcases the practice in the right way. And that doesn't have to mean it's a website with 500 pages and 489 of them is all content related. It can be much smaller than that, but it's about having a website that generates and creates the right impression of the practice. And that might be half a dozen pages, and then look to slowly bolt on content onto the top of it. But as a starting point, you need to have a website, because people, when they're searching for any kind of service, will check people out online now. And you don't need to be on the high street to pick up new business. You can be anywhere. And if most businesses coming from referrals and recommendations, those people, even though they'll pick up the phone and will call, will also check you out either prior to that call or straight after. So you need to have a website first.
Okay. All right. I've got a follow on from that. Why can't I continue to rely purely on word of mouth referrals?
You can continue to rely on word of mouth referrals. This is about enhancing the referrals you get in terms of quality and also quantity. You know, if you pick up one referral a month and you're happy with that, that's absolutely fine. If you want more than one referral a month, then what can you do to increase the number of referrals that come into the practice? And content and sharing of information and making people feel engaged with the practice on a regular basis will generate more activity than whatever you're doing currently. So yeah.
Thank you. That's it. I'll let you get on.
That's fine. Okay. So yeah, so I talked about content online, blogs, news articles, fact sheets. What about portals, forms, guides, calculators, you know, rates and allowances, you know, your tax card information, things like that. All of that stuff can be fed through onto a website to keep the website up to date. Okay. It can all be set up, can be managed automatically. There's a wealth of resource that people can then find when they go online, but equally you can then share. So I don't know, off the top of my head as an example, summer statement 2 weeks ago, stamp duty gets cut, you have all of those rates and all that information on your website, share that information with clients, make them aware of it. if they happen to be going out and looking to purchase a property, then they know straight away that the stamp duty rates have all changed, and they know then what those new rates are. So it's very easy to get information onto a website and have it automated and have it kept up to date on an ongoing basis. I've mentioned newsletters, obviously. So again, in terms of what I showed earlier on, so you can have newsletters that go out that reflect the practice from a branding perspective, that are personalised, different content to different people, going out from different people within the practice that the client deals with. So it's a very focused one-to-one piece of communication. What about looking at all the software you're using within your practice? And if you're using software that's in the cloud, why not add in tutorials or how-to-do videos onto the website? All of the main software providers have got them. They're all sitting on YouTube. So why not create links back onto your website from those how-to-do videos? And it's a little bit difficult because if I was standing in the room, I'd ask for a show of hands, but I'm not asking you all to click raise hands on Zoom. But if you think back to over the course of the last 6 months, how many clients have contacted you to say, how do I do this in Cashflow, Zero, QuickBooks, whatever it may be. If you add up all those times clients ask, how do I do this? And someone in the practice shows them how it's done or tells them how it's done, that's probably quite a lot of time. That's a lot of time that could be spent on billable work. And it's not about not answering or supporting a client if they have a question, but make those resources available and make that information available on the website. And then you can see which clients are clicking on or which links are being downloaded. So you can see, well, maybe we'll stick some more tutorials on that bit of software or that bit of functionality, or with Embellish we'll have a guide maybe they can download. So it's about utilizing information in a dynamic way and trying to be a little bit smart with the information that's at everyone's fingertips, so they can get access to the stuff that's really relevant to them. Looking at offline content, what about things like fact sheets that are printed, stuff you might want to have in your office, for example, that you can take to a meeting based on what you know in advance you're going to be discussing. What about newsletters in a hard copy format, tax cards, tax books, for example? There's loads of different things that can be produced both online and offline. And just to kind of give you an example with some different things here, it's about having stuff that's branded that reflects the practice in the right way. Okay. Generic versus personalized. So this is really looking at the type of content, goes back to the first question I was asked, goes back to the type of content that you want to be sharing out. But you've obviously got to consider the image that you want to portray, okay, and the audience that you have, okay, and who is that audience? Is it clients? Is it contacts? Is it intermediaries? And for some of those people, on your distribution list in your audience, okay, it's perfectly fine to send something generic out to them if you don't know enough about their business and or personal circumstances. But if it is a client, it should always be personalized, okay? Because you know about them, you know about their business, you know about their personal circumstances around tax and accountancy and all their kind of financial affairs. So the information that goes out needs to be relevant to them, okay? But how do you manage that, okay? The number of firms I go in to see, and I have a chat with them and I ask a question, so how many limited companies do you work with? And they say to me, oh, I've got 75. And then they go, I do 300 tax returns every year and all that. They can reel these numbers off by rote, just quickly, one after the other. So I then say to them, okay, that's fine. So if the rules changed on company cars, okay, do you know how many clients would be due in the next, 6 months to upgrade their vehicles or change their fleet or release cars or get rid of them and buy electric vehicles? And the question 99 times, the answer 99 times out of 100 is no, actually I don't know. Okay, and that's because that content's just never it's just never data captured. It's mentioned in a conversation, scribbled on a bit of paper, but it's not really captured anywhere. So it might be worth looking at some kind of CRM system that could sit alongside your practice management system that enables you to capture that type of information, because you can use that knowledge when the time is right to your own advantage to generate other work for the practice, and the way you'd be perceived if the rules on company cars change and you rang that client and said, listen, I know we had a conversation a couple of years ago, but I made a note that your fleet of vehicles is due to be upgraded in the next 9 months, but these rules have changed. It might be worth paying off the lease agreements early because of the tax saving you're going to make, and starting a new one earlier. You know, they'd be forever eternally grateful that you've saved them a load of money. But it's about capturing the information, and the more you can capture and the more information you can hold on clients, the better. And position yourself as an expert. Okay, the more you become an expert, the more you personalize the information that you send out, the higher the open and the read rates. But I do appreciate it does take time to write your own content. It takes skill, it takes experience, and not everyone has the skill or the experience, or even necessarily the time to write all of their own content. And if that's the case, find a way that you can do this without it impacting on you directly. And how do you fit it in around your client work and all the filing deadlines, one after the other, that literally just come in every month? Okay, and just to bring up again the differences in from a non-branded and a non-personalised newsletter and one that is. Now, there are differences between HTML and PDF. Some of you will probably be sitting there thinking, what's HTML? I know what a PDF is. I get those attachments all the time. But what's HTML? Well, HTML is a type of coding, okay, which allows for pieces of communication to be much more dynamic in their nature. Okay, so a lot of newsletters that you would receive, if there's nothing to directly click on, which comes into your inbox and you open it, that'll be built in HTML. Okay, so a lot of newsletters that go out, certainly through our system, but systems like MailChimp, for example, okay, are built in HTML, which basically allows you to track what's going out. So it tracks who's received the newsletter, who's opened it, and if they clicked on a link to read something, we can see then what did they read. Okay, so it enables you to be able to follow up in a much better way. Now, the content, therefore, with an HTML newsletter can all sit on your website. So everything then becomes trackable. It means your newsletter is much smaller in size, can be viewed on a desktop or a laptop, as well as a tablet or a mobile. And with a PDF, you can't do that. PDFs are fixed, locked documents. You can create some links, but you can't track what people are looking at when they click on something from a PDF and they go from that PDF, say, to a web page. And obviously, when you've got things I mentioned already with HTML, things like read more and share this, you know, we happen to also have a link in all our newsletters that we do for our clients, which says call me, which allows that individual to request a callback from the practice. So it doesn't dial the phone, but it opens a little form, and they can fill in the form and they can ask for someone to call them. Okay, so you can build those links into an HTML document. But as I mentioned, you can obviously then see what people are looking at, and you can get all of your analytics. Practice v business v technical v no news. Okay, so this is really talking about all of the different types of content that you could write in a newsletter, or you could write onto your website. Okay, so obviously with practice news, it's incredibly personal. Okay, you're writing about things that are happening within the practice. Okay, and or clients within the practice, if you want to maybe promote certain clients or things that are happening locally within your local area. Okay, but business news isn't always relevant. Okay, there's a lot of accountants out there that have links to Reuters and the BBC, and all of their feeds on their website. And that to me adds absolutely no value, because no one is going to go to the BBC website via their accountant. They'll just go to the BBC website. Okay. The technical content obviously is the most important thing to have on your website, because it enables people to stay informed. Okay. There is that due diligence aspect. You know, the last thing you want is someone coming to you saying, I heard about this from someone else. It could be another accountant, or it could be a friend of theirs, but it's about creating the right image and the right impression, okay, being that expert. And the last one is no news. And that really is the last thing you should be doing, because, and this is purely in my opinion, it demonstrates the impression that you don't value keeping in touch with your clients on a regular basis, okay? Now, you may well call them on a regular basis, but you don't call them every time something changes. And what's the cutoff point when you have too many clients that you can't ring your clients all the time and speak to them, or wait for that annual review meeting to see them and talk about everything? So it's about having information that shows that you value your clients and what you can bring to the table for them. And then finally, doing all of that allows you to promote your services and generate additional fees. Okay, look at the advisory side of the practice, because that's where you can scale up what you charge. And so just to show you a few examples, what we've got here with NJJT is obviously no news. They happen to have, and I showed this picture last year and I still kept it in because I quite like it, because the £10 note's not even legal tender anymore. It's out of circulation. So it does make me chuckle that it still hasn't been changed. Wilkes Tranter are a mid-sized firm, you know, 3-partner firm. They've got a whole load of news from Reuters on their website. But again, why would you want Reuters sports headlines on your website? It doesn't really have any value. With CWM, they've got technical content on there, okay, stuff that's relevant to the services that they're providing for their clients, that's being updated all the time. And Pentlands have that, and also a host of personal stuff about the practice and about their clients and the local area as well. Okay, all stuff that they've added in themselves. Now, talk about technical content quite a lot, but there's a lot of things that you could talk about on your website, in your communication to clients, that is non-technical. Okay, what about talking about business plans? There's probably going to be a lot of people starting up their own businesses in the next 12 months, okay, because they unfortunately lose their jobs. What about coaching, mentoring ideas? What about ideas about raising finance if you're starting a new business? How about people that are looking to retire or sell or get out of their business? Okay, coaching, leading a team, developing staff. You know, there's loads of things that an accountant can position themselves as an expert on. Okay, what about wider support services? You know, things about probate, if you've got a probate license, financial advice, IT support, the cloud in general, not just cloud accountancy software. I spoke to the ICAW back at the beginning of the year, and they've only got 338 registered firms for probate. So, you know, become a probate advisor, take the exams for probate, and have something over most probably everyone else locally, in that you can offer probate services to people. Okay, so there's loads of stuff that you can write about. It doesn't have to just be about tax and accountancy. We interestingly, at the beginning of the lockdown, took the decision to write some articles every week purely around business support. Nothing technical. I mean, we do write all the technical tax and accountancy content, but we actually write dedicated articles every week for our clients, for all the services we provide, specifically around business support, because businesses needed support back in March, April, May, June, and they still do. Okay, and for us, it's about spotting an opportunity and being able to provide information that we know people would benefit from receiving. Where can you use it? You can use it everywhere. Your website, number one. Newsletters. You can use it on social media. You could stick it in your office, put it in reception for people to pick up when they come in and see you. Okay. What about networking events, exhibitions? You know, business shows are going to be able to start up again, hopefully from the 1st of October. So that probably means the same for networking events. You could take your content and distribute it there. What about an old-fashioned letter? You know, send something out in the post to people. Okay, but it's all about engaging your audience and creating the right impression and the right image. The last thing I want to just cover off very briefly, just because it links in, and I could talk about this for ages, but just very, very briefly, is GDPR, because there is a GDPR aspect to all of this. GDPR now has been in effect for 2 years, started May 2018. Okay, it covers both electronic and physical information, okay, on both clients and staff within your practice. Okay, clients, just for information, clients can be marketed to without any further permission being sought, because you have permission to send them things anyway, like a set of accounts or a bill. Okay, so you can then send them marketing related information. Okay, but with prospects or contacts or intermediaries, okay, you have to be careful and double check the email address that you're using and you're sending information to. Okay, if it's a business email address, okay, it's their business email, then that's fine. You don't need to get permission, okay, or further permission does not need to be sought, as long as you know the information that you're sending is relevant to the person receiving it. So if you're sending something in about accounts and it's going to the finance director of this particular company, that's fine. But if you're sending it to the head of health and safety, okay, then you need to get permission. If it's a personal email, a BT Internet or a Gmail or a Hotmail or something like that, then you always need permission. Okay, so if it's a prospect and it's someone who wants a personal tax return and they go, yeah, send it to my Hotmail account, then you need to get them to opt in to then receive communication from you. Okay, and that opt-in is a double opt-in now. It used to be a single opt-in, it's now a double opt-in, which means you need to send them an opt-in, so direct them to your website to register. And then after they've registered, they should then receive an email, which they then confirm they're happy to then opt in and receive communication. Okay, they need to authorize in effect, so someone hasn't done it as a joke on their behalf. Okay, and that is an ongoing process to make sure you continually apply. So you need to make sure you are GDPR compliant and then make sure you continually don't fall foul of the rules and regulations. That's it. That's everything I've got to say. What I would just end with is there is a barrier. I appreciate there's a barrier to all of this, and that is time, it's money, and it's resource. You know, we don't all have 3 pairs of hands like the chap on the right hand of the screen. Okay, so there are barriers to all of that, but there are ways to overcome those barriers. What could you do next? Well, as I put up right at the very beginning, if you want a copy of everything I've spoken about and all of the stuff that I've been talking about today, and a copy of my white paper, which gives you 25 marketing tips for your practice, maybe 1 or 2 of them will be quite handy to use now, then go to www.informanagement, and there's an R in the middle, informanagement.co.uk/IFA-whitepaper. You could check us out online, informanagement.co.uk, and there's a load of stuff about us on our website and what we do and all the different services. I'm more than happy to speak to anyone and or meet anyone and give them a free review, completely obligation free, of all of your marketing and all of your client communication. If you wanted to have a bit more of a chat and you want to meet up or do it as a video call, more than happy to. Just reach out to me, message me, and I'd be more than happy to do that. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Lawrence Vogel. You could also follow our company page on LinkedIn, InfoManagement, or you could also join a group that I've set up, which is called the Accountants Network. I'm not the only contributor into the group. Other members contribute information, so feel free to join that, which is on LinkedIn, or you could follow us on Twitter at InfoManagement. Okay, and I'd like to thank you all for your time. Thank you for sticking around and not leaving me to talk to myself. There's a couple of testimonials there, which I'll leave up to read, and just hand back to Jonathan, just see if there's any other questions.
Yeah, Lawrence, thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions that are of a similar nature. what are the costs? What's the price plan if a member is engaging with yourself and info management?
Okay, we have a couple of baskets in effect, but the initial fee is £175 a month. And what that actually covers is a whole variety of things. It covers content onto the website, so all the content we write to feed through as a feed onto any website. Targeted email newsletters every month to the practice's portfolio of clients. You get 30 printed and those are targeted and tailored, so you profile your clients so they get different information, so they only get the right stuff. 30 printed newsletters every quarter, which can either be personalised and then mailed direct by us or sent to the office, and you can have them then to send to keep that are more general that you can then use to hand out at meetings and events. There's our social media module, which allows you to for the content to then be pushed out onto your social media profiles. It covers a bulk email facility, so you can generate other mailings if you want to, using the template we've built and your own to either those clients and anyone else. It covers that. It also covers 3 other things. Number 1 is a practitioner newsletter, which we write every week, which allows each member of staff within the practice to get access to all the content we write. And I'm going to just pause for 1 second just to say we write 2 types of article. I talked about the types of content we write. We write 2 types of article. One is client facing and one is practitioner only. And it's about roughly a 50-50 split each week. We're writing about 12 to 15 articles a week. The practitioner only articles, okay, are more technical in nature, a lot of process driven stuff, but is good for your unstructured CPD in terms of all of your background reading, okay? But all the articles that are written every week, which go to the practitioner, have links to all of the source material that we've utilized to write that article in the first place. So it's a huge wealth of resource for a practice to use. So that comes into each member of staff every week. But we also write tutorials every month for a service called Info Learning, and you get access to all the online tutorials. So if you want to do some additional CPD, some structured CPD, technical CPD, we can tick that box as well. That's included. And then finally, there's a document portal called File and Sign for document sharing and e-signing. And that allows for you to share securely documents with clients and for clients to electronically sign those documents off. And that could be one document to one person within a business, one client, or it could be multiple documents to multiple people within the same business. So if you needed a set of accounts signed off by 2 directors, it can go once and both of them can sign it at the same time online. Okay, so that's included within the basket. The other basket that we have is exactly the same, but instead of having just the news feed, we can also build a website as well. So we've got a whole template solution, and we can offer that. And that, with the website, is £199 a month. So for the question about, do I have content or do I do the website first? The answer is we could manage both of those at the same time and launch everything at once. So the additional cost is basically £24 a month, and we put the website together as well. Does that answer the question, Jonathan?
Yeah, no, it does. I've got a couple. I'm conscious of time, but maybe a couple of other things. You obviously, as an organisation, build websites. If you do, the question is, what would that cost? I'm talking about a sole practitioner working from home. The other question is £175 per calendar month seems quite a lot for a new sole practitioner. Is there a startup package where maybe somebody chooses only a selection of the available options?
Okay, so the answer to the first question is there is a small setup fee, which is the same no matter which option, which is £500. That covers the build of the website and or the build of the feed of all the content onto an existing site, because the website we build will have the feed integrated automatically. And then all the design work for the newsletter templates, and obviously getting everything else set up. And that's the same whether it's the feed of the website, so it's the £500 one-off setup fee. Is there a smaller basket? The answer is, the short answer is yes. The longer answer to that is, for me, it's about making sure that a practice is doing the right thing. So if someone said to me, "But I only want to do social media and nothing else," I wouldn't want to do that, because all that practice will do is come back to me 12 months down the line, because the initial agreement is 12 months. They'll come back to me 12 months down the line and say, "Hasn't really worked." And I'll go, "Correct, that's because you should have had the basket, because the basket has a broad spectrum of services which I know will tick a series of boxes." So the answer is, I can do a smaller basket on an individual basis if that's relevant for what the practice wants to achieve. And that can be linked to budget as well. I totally understand that. But for me, it's what I don't want is someone to come back to me after 12 months and say, "It was great, thanks, but it hasn't really worked for us." And if it's not the right mix of services, I'd probably know it wasn't going to work anyway. What I won't do is just take someone's money for 12 months and then that's it. Because for me, it's about the long-term relationship. It's really as simple as that. And interestingly, I have a feeling ASL accountants are actually on the call today, and I've worked with Mark for probably about 8 or 9 years now. And he'd be testament to the fact that it's about longevity in terms of all the stuff I was talking about earlier on, but also it's about, us as a business, that we make sure that we deliver and practices get a return from that, and that's really the key thing.
Okay, no, that's great, thank you. Just again, I'm conscious of time, so
Sure.
one last question. Are those fees inclusive of VAT?
They're ex-VAT, excluding VAT.
Thank you. Sorry, I said one. There's another one quickly come through. Can you start with a website first of all at £500, as I think you've just mentioned, and then progress to things later on?
Well, the answer is there's a fee for setting everything up, and there's an ongoing fee for the content. But what I'd do is if the individual wants to, if they request the white paper, I'm happy if they go to the website, they could fill in the contact form. If they put a note in there, I'm happy to give them a call and have a discussion with them, because I'm sure there's something we can do. But again, it goes back to it being, it's got to be the right thing.
Yeah, fine. Okay. One more, because I think this is actually fairly pertinent to everybody who's probably listened. What return on investment should somebody expect?
It's difficult. You can't put a tangible figure on it, purely because every practice charges different fees to different clients. But there would be a return. It's very difficult to measure. What price can you put on keeping clients informed so they don't leave and go somewhere else? So there is a return. But it's a subtle return on investment. Indirectly, there will be new business opportunities that fall off the back of all of the services that we provide. But the more personalised the service can be, the more personalised the communication, the more opportunities you're going to get. But equally, I'm not the one actually going in and bringing the clients on board. So the person, the system will generate opportunities. If the person can't actually convert them, then they'll look at it and go, I haven't been able to generate any return on investment. So it's a difficult one, but it's all about the value that you bring to the table and how that is perceived by your audience. And obviously for the clients we're working with, 99% of them, it's all about communicating with their clients. And indirectly, that does generate other opportunities. But it's difficult to put a finite figure on it, because for one practice, it could be one client, it justifies the fee. For someone else, it's 10 clients. It depends on what the business is that gets brought in.
No, Lawrence, that's great, and I'll bring everything to a close because I'm conscious of time. I could say thank you and say a few words, but actually I've got a couple of remarks and comments from attendees today, so I'm going to use those as a thank you for your time and effort. This comes from Nicola, who says, "Thanks, Lawrence. You've given me a to-do list and to get organised. Very informative. Thank you."
Great.
I've also got excellent presentation from Roland, very insightful and informative. So, thank you to those. I've had a couple of colleagues send me a couple of messages for all members. If you are using the Institute logo on your website or on literature, can you please ensure that it is the current literature that you are using? If you're wondering where that logo can be found, within the members only area under the heading of logo. I've also just been asked to remind people that we do have a number of local branch surgeries taking place in the next 10 days. If you want any information on those, please either contact myself or my colleague Linda Wallace. So look, Lawrence, thank you very much indeed. That's been excellent. Really appreciative. To everybody who's joined us, this was the first National Institute online branch meeting. We will be holding others. Please do engage with us online from a CPD's perspective. Keep well, stay safe, everybody, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.